Brought to you by Stratus Solutions. Cloud governance best practices to accelerate compliance around the enterprise.
FedRAMP is a government-wide program that provides a standardized approach to security assessment, authorization, and continuous monitoring for cloud products and services. The program's designed to bring consistency and confidence to federal cloud computing. Here, we dig into FedRAMP and other issues of governance. Joining me, Dede Dascalu, CEO of Stratus Solutions. Dede, thanks for coming on the program. What guideposts do federal agencies have regarding governance? How should they think about governance as these cloud transitions are happening?
Right, so in 2011, the White House released this cloud first policy aimed to increase cloud adoption across the federal government. At the time, the Office for Management and Budget estimated about a quarter or so of the $80 billion federal IT budget was a candidate for cloud transformation. That number has climbed ever since, and because of this policy, cloud adoption of cloud service providers has increased as well. So since then, C2S came out, sponsored by the CIA, which was the intelligence community's cloud. And currently, we have this multi-billion-dollar JEDI procurement looming for the Department of Defense cloud. So this increased cloud adoption has started to show some issues with cloud at scale, specifically making sure that consistency of how accounts are accessed is maintained, budgets are enforced so that contracting officers don't run afoul of the Anti-Deficiency Act, and a security posture is maintained so that these compliance regimes like FedRAMP and the Dede SRG are kept in check. So essentially a good compliance regime consisting of account access, budget enforcement, and compliance automation, ideally aligned to an organization's hierarchy.
You used a term there that I want to get a definition of quickly because I think it's important to understand the terminology. That's the term cloud at scale. What does that mean in the context of this conversation overall?
So cloud at scale means taking into account a situation where a certain organization's needs are reaching a certain level where growth and shifting mission kind of occur. Mm-hmm. So a good governance program is usually underpinned by a well-designed cloud infrastructure. So for example, some elements of an infrastructure like this include access points and ways to access these cloud elements, a security regime that basically helps with log aggregation and management, a network strategy to interconnect all these cloud accounts, and also a well-defined certification accreditation policy that accelerates approval to operate. Also, I would say for governance at scale in recent years, there's a multi-account strategy that has come about, meaning that we're using cloud account boundaries to isolate individual project tenants. And the advantage to this is that developers and IT staff can exercise the full power of the cloud, but at the same time, a blast radius is reduced so that we shrink the amount of damage an individual tenant can do inside of a larger environment.
When GSA first rolled out FedRAMP a number of years ago, right, the two of the reasons that they gave for it being important then were consistency in the security that's being offered, and confidence that the agency could have that if they adopted somebody that was FedRAMP compliant, they would know, they could have confidence that they were getting a security regime that was going to work for them. Have those two held, and what are kind of the state of the art today as far as why compliance regimes like FedRAMP work well for agencies?
Yeah, absolutely. So FedRAMP, like you mentioned, is a government-wide program that's supposed to ensure accreditation consistency, authorization, and continuous monitoring of cloud products. Actually, to make things a little bit more confusing, the Department of Defense uses a slightly different but similar standard called the Cloud Computing Security Requirements Guide, the Dede SRG. A cloud service provider like Amazon usually abides by both at various levels, so they position themselves such that their platform and services can be used by workloads of multiple classifications. And as you mentioned, this has introduced significant accreditation consistency. It's increased buyer confidence, especially in the federal government. It has also dramatically reduced the amount of time it takes to procure cloud. One interesting fact, though, is that the fact that a CSP like Amazon has a certification like this doesn't absolve customers for practicing good security and compliance on their workloads. Mm-hmm. Amazon calls this the shared security model, where Amazon is responsible for the security of the cloud, while their customers are responsible for the security and compliance of the workloads in the cloud.
We have about 20 seconds left. What should agencies be doing on their side of that to ensure that their third-party cloud service is meeting all of those responsibilities?
Automation is key. In order to achieve the promise of better, cheaper, faster, like your previous guests mentioned, you need automation, not more humans or more manual processes. That's essentially the gist of that. These automated tools also need to not just report and observe, they need to enforce rules and act based on predefined thresholds and boundaries.
Dede, thanks very much for joining me. I appreciate your insight.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.